This morning I am headed to get my CT scan to look at my adrenal glands. I've only shared about this just a little bit so far, and I'm hoping to talk about it more, but I'm in the process of getting things figured out with what we believe to be primary hyperaldosteronism, which is an issue with the adrenal glands. And part of that process is having a CT scan with the contrast to check that out. So I am headed there this morning to get that done. I've had a CT scan with contrast before, so I already know what to expect, but for some reason I'm nervous. Yeah, so hopefully that goes well and it will provide my doctors with the information that they need, because the next steps after this is to have an adrenal vein sampling procedure, and then after that would be surgery. And having the CT scan is helpful for them knowing how to navigate and what to look for. Part of what they're looking at is the anatomy of the adrenal glands and the adrenal veins, but also they're looking for an adrenal tumor, which is the cause of primary hyperaldosteronism. Typically, most of the time, it's a non-cancerous tumor, but that's what they're looking for. Sometimes they are big enough to be seen on a CT scan, and sometimes they're not. So in the case that they're not, then the adrenal vein sampling really helps with that. But the adrenal vein sampling procedure really just helps to determine which adrenal gland is the issue. So yeah, anyway, it's a lot of information, but that's what I am doing this morning, and I'm hoping it goes well. Okay, just got here. It was about an hour drive for me. I don't know why I'm so nervous. Okay, Lord, give me peace. All right, here we go. For some reason, sitting and waiting in the waiting room is always the hardest part for me. I don't know why. There's just something very nerve-wracking about waiting in the waiting room. Okay, just got done with my CT scan. Like I said, usually just waiting in the waiting room is the worst part for me, for any kind of test, because I don't know, it's just very anxiety producing. So I was expecting to have a CT scan with the contrast today, but they explained that if they were able to get certain measurements or something, that they wouldn't need to do the contrast. So they did the first scan, looked at it, and I guess they didn't need it. So I'm really hoping that I'm hoping that it's going to give the results that are needed and that I don't have to do it all over again. So I'm just praying that that's correct and that it will give helpful answers. I was just thinking that maybe it would be helpful to explain about how a CT scan goes, just in case you're watching this and you've never had one, or maybe you have one coming up and you're wanting more information about what to expect. So I'll just share my experience from today since it's fresh. So basically I got called back into the radiology department, and I was asked to change into a gown, just so there's not any metal or any sort of wiring on your clothes that go through the machine. So I just changed into a gown. You lay on a bed table that moves back and forth this way, and you go through, not really through it, but the bed slides into a round kind of donut shaped machine. It's not a tunnel. It's not something that you're majorly constricted in. It's just kind of a donut shape. And you are instructed with the machine to hold your breath for about 5 seconds, and it kind of slides you in and out, and then it tells you to breathe again. So it did that maybe like 3 or 4 times, and then that ended up being it for this time. If you do have to have a CT scan with contrast, then they will give you an IV. They inject the contrast, I don't know what you call it, solution. And from my experience previous with that, it kind of gives you this like warm sensation that that kind of like flushes from your head down to your feet. Yeah, and then they do the same thing, sliding back and forth with taking the pictures. But overall, it's a pretty easy test to do. It's, I mean, if IVs are hard for you, then that would probably be the worst part. but I've had so many that doesn't really bother me. But yeah, that was it for today. Okay, so I already got my CT results back. I was shocked that they came back within like an hour. I thought it was going to be longer than that for sure. But they did end up finding a 2.5 centimeter tumor on my left adrenal gland, which is what was suspected. As I said, that's what the cause of primary hyperaldosteronism is a tumor on the adrenal gland that is producing too much of the hormone aldosterone. Yeah, and they found one, and it's a benign tumor, so that's not why I'm tearing up. I'm not tearing up because of any of that. I'm tearing up because I'm just relieved that I'm finally getting answers, because I have been feeling like garbage and have had low potassium and extremely weak muscles, horrible fatigue, high blood pressure. I've been dealing with all this for about a year now. And yeah, now I have my answer. And as a lot of you on here that follow along on my different accounts and things, as you're familiar with, if you have any sort of chronic illness, you're probably very familiar with having some kind of symptoms. There are so many flies out here. You're probably familiar with having different symptoms and health things going on, and you go to the doctor and you want to get tests done, and everything just keeps coming back as, oh, it's normal, all your levels are normal, or we didn't find anything. And that can be very, very frustrating. I've been through years and years of that myself. So this time has just been so different. It's been very straightforward. Everything is pretty textbook, and everything that they're expecting to find with this condition is lining up with what I have. So it has been a very different experience for me this time. And like I said, it is just a huge relief to not be told that it's in my head, or that it's anxiety, or that it's blah, 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 all the other things that you can just get dismissed with. I haven't been dismissed at all. My doctors have all been taking it very seriously, and I'm very thankful for that. So yeah, the next steps for this type of health condition is having an adrenal vein sampling procedure done to take samples of blood from the adrenal veins to test them, just to make sure that it really is only one side that is the issue. In this case, it sounds like it's my left side, because that's where the tumor is. And then the solution after that is to have surgery, which would be an adrenalectomy to remove that adrenal gland that's causing the issue. And then after that, everything should just go back to normal. My potassium levels should normalize again. My blood pressure should normalize, and I won't need any of the medications that I've been on for that. So yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with that and excited that it is moving in a good direction.